Hello fellow YouTubers, this is Kratos123. Today I'm going to be doing a rant video. Mickey Vlogs posted a bit of a rant video a couple days ago, and I thought, I thought it was funny, like the day after I watched his video, something happened, and it's one of the things that, just really annoys me. So I thought, why not? I'll make a little bit of a rant video. And of course, the examples that I'm going to pull, or the examples I'm going to say, are things that has happened recently, and, games that I've had involving, some people I know. And if you do watch this video, I know one is going to watch it, but if you do watch this video, I'm not just going against you, it's just, I'm using stories like this as an example. We're still cool, everything. Just want to get that out for those who do watch this video. But the first thing I'm going to be talking about is when you win a game and somebody says you won because of X card, or I've even had you won the game because X card exists. Now, when you win the game and then somebody tells you you only won the game because of X card, it's a little bit of a jerk move. Yes, they ended up winning the game, or winning the game. It is just a game. And it makes me feel like almost if I don't really want to play the card, because I don't want people to complain about it. Now, I mean, this is happened on Dueling Network and such. But I mean, and a lot of the time, for some reason, it happens to do with Bryonic. And I'll play the Bryonic, and because of it, I'll end up winning that turn. And they tell me, well, you only won because of Bryonic, and it's like, so what? If you're playing Lightsworn and somebody, pulls off a Judgment Dragon, they only won because of that card. They only won because of Judgment Dragon. There's so many cards in this game that if you top deck and play it, you'll win the game. Like Judgment Dragon, Tour Guide of the Underworld can help you just... Like, Tour Guide is an amazing top deck, especially in Dino Rabbits. Hornet can win you the game. There are so many cards out there. And for me, it just happens to be Bryonic all the time that I get this. And, it's just, I don't know what about it that it pisses me off. It's just like, you don't have to say it. Just accept the fact that you lost the game. It's just a card game. And, I happen to play Bryonic. Yes, it's broken. And I happen to win with it. But yeah, that's really probably the number one thing I absolutely really hate. Is when you win the game and somebody says you only won because of X card. You couldn't have won the game any other way unless you played that card. It's a bit of a dick move. Another thing is pretty much like the first one. When your opponent says, either like something like you only won because you're playing X deck, or of course I lost because you're playing X deck. What am I supposed to do against X deck? Or even, what am I supposed to do against an archetype like that? I've had that before too. When it comes to archetypes, I've had, you look on the forums and stuff like that, and people will say archetypes have ruined the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! No, they have not. You gotta think to yourselves, and I ask people this. Do you know Yatagarasu? Most people will say yes. Yatagarasu is splashable in every deck. Like, every single deck. If you put, if Yatagarasu is taken off the list, so many people would be using Yatagarasu. And we don't want cards like that, in every single deck. We don't want Yatagarasu to come back. I mean, I do, just for nostalgia. But that's beyond the point. It'll never come back. But you don't want something like that to be run in everyone's decks, because it's so splashable and it's so stupid broken. Look at Judgment Dragon. Would you want a Judgment Dragon to be able to, be splashable in every single deck? It doesn't have to be in Lightsworn build. It could be in, would you want Judgment Dragon being in an Insector build? Or Wind-Ups? Or being able to use the Dino Rabbit or any other deck out there? It didn't have the summoning requirement of the Lightsworns. Like, even if it was just a light, that you had to have 4 different light type monsters in the graveyard, that would be stupid. But like, you don't want things like Judgment Dragon to be splashable in every deck. That's why we have archetypes. And I really have to say, I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh would have gone anywhere if they didn't do the archetypes. I mean, archetypes was a brilliant idea. They stuck with it. It's a good idea. But saying, oh, what am I supposed to do against an archetype? Just because you play rogue decks and you don't like archetypes, don't bitch and complain that there are archetypes out there that, some archetypes you just can't beat. Windups is an archetype that's stupid broken, yes. But, if you're going to be using a rogue deck that's not an archetype, don't expect to win. I'm not saying that you can't create a deck out there that can't beat an archetype. Archetypes can be beaten even with rogue decks. But don't go saying, what am I supposed to do against an archetype deck when you just don't like archetypes because you thought archetypes killed the game. They didn't kill the game. No. And I know you're the one guy. You're watching this right now. Dude, I'm not saying this, to be a dick. This has been on my mind for a very long time. And I know, of course, I'm not going to give out any names. And, we're still cool and everything. We're, bros and all that. Just, there's more than you who think that archetypes have ruined the game. You're not the only one. So, I'm saying this about everyone, not just you. But, anyways, and the last thing that really pisses me off, and it's only happened to me once, actually. Only once. And that's when somebody gets so pissed off that they need to do something. Like, people who get so pissed off that they'll either throw their deck, or they'll throw your opponent's deck, or just flip the table. I haven't seen very many of those. I've heard of some, but I've only happened to me once. And I was actually with a good friend of mine, and to this day, like, I really wish I still had the card that this happened to. And me and my friend just joke around about this all the time. It's an unforgettable moment that, I can only just laugh about now. And, I was playing my friend this one time, and I ended up summoning Obelisk the Tormentor. And this is back when we only had the blue Obelisk. And, we played with the blue Obelisk, and we used either the video game rules or the show rules kind of thing, back when you're a kid. And I summoned this Obelisk, and I destroyed his favorite monster. And yes, man, if you're watching this video, you know what I'm talking about. So I destroy his monster, and he gets so pissed off that, he took my card, my Obelisk card, and just bit it. And of course, at the time, I was fucking pissed off. Because, you just bet one of my favorite cards. Now I don't give a crap. But, he bit it. But nowadays, I so wish I had that card. Because, we're always joking around saying, when my friend gets famous, I am going to have an imprint of his teeth on this playing card, this trading card. And, it'll be worth bucks because it has his dental on it. So, I seriously do wish I still had the card. But, just a little, a fun story for you. Like, of course, even if it was any other card, like a Dark Arm Dragon or something, you'd be pissed off. But, it was just one of those, it was a Japanese, Obelisk the Tormentor, the blue one. So, of course, I'm not even pissed off about it. But the whole act is, it's just, at the end of the night, it's just a card game. Or, sorry, at the end of the day, rather. It's just a card game. You don't need to flip a table or throw your deck or somebody else's deck. You just calm down. It's a game. And, throughout the whole thing, for the only one because of X card, archetypes ruin the game, or X deck ruin the game. And, throwing your stuff. If you end up losing a game, keep your mouth closed. Especially don't be biting anybody's cards. But keep your mouth closed. And, and things won't need to escalate. Just take a few minutes, go sit down somewhere else, or, just keep playing. It's just a game. Who cares? And of course, this is just coming from the guy who just plays for fun. I'm a little competitive, but yeah. So now that it's not become not much of a rant anymore, I'm going to tell you guys, another story I ended up having, because I used to be the guy who got really pissed off. I used to be that guy. And back in grade 9, I used to play with the old Chaos deck. I ran Chaos Emperor, Block Closer Soldier, and of course this was after the ban list came in place, but I still didn't care. I still loved the deck, and I still played it. So of course, you being in 9th grade, being a Yu-Gi-Oh guy, nobody could beat this deck. I was the top guy, top shit. And that deck ended up getting stolen at one of the tournaments I went to. I wasn't playing the deck, but somebody saw the deck, and I guess they just jacked it. They wanted to jack it, so the deck got stolen, and it was of course very devastating. And when I got to grade 10 in that, I created decks. They just weren't that good. They were pretty shitty decks. Because most of the time I was basing them off of character decks. I think the main deck that I used to play was, I tried to make a Zane deck. Because he was one of the cool characters. I wanted to be, just like how he dueled and everything. So, I made this deck, and this deck would lose to everything. And, when you're, 1 year you're the top shit, and then your deck is stolen, and then you just go downhill, and you don't even want to play anymore. It's, it kind of sucks. And, I still remember the final game that I had before I quit Yu-Gi-Oh for a while. I ended up quitting Yu-Gi-Oh for a pretty good amount of time. And that was, I believe, playing my girlfriend at the time, who was now my fiance. And she was playing the dragon deck that had Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon in it, I believe. Or not Red Eyes Darkness, Red Eyes Darkness Dragon. And, I was just playing my deck. And I kept losing and losing and losing. And so she ended up saying, well, let's switch decks. So I'm like, I didn't really want to switch decks, but, in the end, whatever, I'll just switch decks. So, I get ready. She goes first. She sits or whatever. My turn, I draw. I look at this hand, and this hand is amazing. I ended up getting, Red Eyes Beach, Red Eyes Black Dragon, and, Red Eyes Darkness Dragon in my opening hand. So I was like, oh my god, yes. This is awesome. And, of course, by the way, just to let you know, we didn't have the best cards back in school. So, anyways, I'm just like, Red Eyes, beat check, and I send it to the grave, and then I reveal, Red Eyes, and I just send it to the graveyard right away, because, I'm so pumped up to use this awesome card, and I summon that Red Eyes Darkness Dragon, and it gets Bottomless Trap Hold. And, I have nothing in my hand to save my ass at this point. So I just drop the hand and just say, I quit. And I ended up quitting the game. I totally rage quit. I ended up quitting the game. And so, for the longest time, I ended up getting into Magic the Gathering. And, I still play Magic the Gathering. It's, it's not something competitive. I am more competitive with Yu-Gi-Oh! And, that I play wind-ups and stuff like that. I'll play the more competitive decks. And I play a little more competitively than others, out of my friends. But, Magic the Gathering is strictly, I'll play whatever the heck I want to play. So I played Magic for a while. And then, one day I ended up watching, some episodes of the old Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was like, oh, yeah, I kind of want to get back to the game. So I ended up building, trying to make my Cyber Dragon deck a little better. I go to school and I say, yeah, I'm going to try Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. And of course the same thing happens. I get my ass owned and ass owned and ass owned. And of course I'm just on the verge of, I really don't want to play this game. God damn, I have the most itchiest nose right now. And anyways, so, I'm getting my ass kicked. And my friend, just before I'm just like, I'm going to quit this game again. My friend tells me, dude, instead of quitting, make a deck, like just take this deck apart, who cares what it is. He basically says, don't, make the deck and don't put cards in you want. Putting cards in that the deck needs. Just because you like this one card doesn't mean don't put it in. Like, say, if I liked Red Eyes Black Dragon and I really love the card, I'm not gonna, don't put it in just because you like the card. Put the deck together, put cards in that you need, not cards you want to just put in. So, I took his advice. I decided, okay, I'll go home. I'll go home that night and I do as he says. I start making this deck that I think, works better. It's not counting on other cards as much, and I just put it together. So the next day, I go to school, and I've got this new deck, and it was somewhat like a special summon deck. I ran like 1 Dark Magician, like 3 skilled Dark Magicians, because you can special summon the Dark Magician easily. Like, I think it was like some Chainsaw Insects, like 3 of those, some Monarchs, 3 Cyber Dragons, and other cards, and I just put this deck together. And I ended up facing one of my friends, and the deck ended up winning the first time. And I was amazed. Like, this thing was pulling off combos that was actually really good. So game 2, I win again. Game 3, I win again. And I just keep winning all these games and games. And eventually this deck became my first video deck. I believe it's my first video. It was my original deck. And it wasn't that when I made the video, it turned into that. And then later on, that deck turned into my Frog Monarch deck. So, the Frog Monarch deck is definitely a special deck to me. It's taken apart now, it's in my binder, but I'm just waiting maybe for some more staples that I can get to really make the deck again. But there's another thing that, some other people can, some advice. For those guys who want to play for fun, don't put in a card you want. Put in a card you need. Now, of course, I will put in, with my wind-up deck, I have Overwind and stuff like that in there. But, it's just the kind of people I play. I don't need to run the high-end cards, but, play what you want to play. And, I built this deck, and it was pretty good. I loved it, and I played it for so long. So yeah, that's basically, that's probably one of my favorite stories of my Yu-Gi-Oh! Life, I guess you can call it. So this is not much of a rant at all anymore. But it's getting pretty late, so I'm going to sign out. So just of course another quick note to the guys of who I use the stories about. If you do watch the video again, I know I said it a million times now, but I'm not directing it at you. A lot of people say that. I'm just using this as an example. So this is Kratos123 with a somewhat rant video, signing out.